This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com. Welcome. This is your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today's 5/11/22, show number 389. Well, the CPI report was released today, Nick.
Yeah, we had a pretty good CPI report. I think it came out as expected, but apparently most people were thinking they were going to get some magical number where things would automatically mean inflation is over, but that wasn't the case. CPI number came in at 8.3% in April. I think they were expecting 8.1%. And according to CNBC, I believe it's the highest level in more than 40 years.
Yeah, and that's what they're admitting to. 40 years ago, they used to measure inflation in a completely different way, or without hedonic adjustments and this core CPI didn't exist, all this stuff. So you believe what you want, but what's interesting is that inflation-adjusted earnings continues to decline for workers.
That's right, and that's a big one right there, because it just shows you how bad the people, especially in the lower incomes, are getting hurt by this inflation, and it's just absolutely destroying people. And this is just par for the course of what we've seen over the last 12, 14 months.
No doubt. Really interesting. The shelter costs, they're up. Basically, everything is up.
Yeah, everything is up. And core CPI, which excludes food and energy, was higher than expected too. So, just think about it. If you just look at, I filled up last night at the gas pump. This was the highest price I ever paid. I paid $4.30. And I know in a lot of other places, it's a lot higher for a gallon of gas. But gasoline's at an all-time high. And, again, that was not even in this report. They're showing that fuel costs went down. So just think about it in real terms. We know that we're paying the highest we've paid all year for gasoline right now.
Yes, we certainly are, although I'm not. But, hey, I'm not going to gloat.
Mr. Tesla over there.
Yeah, I'm not going to gloat. Hey, electric is going to go up soon anyway. But I've switched to time of use billing, so I try to put all of my heavy use after the peak hours, where I pay almost half of what the peak charges are during regular electrical use time. So it's all working out according to plan. And what's the market doing at this point?
Well, today has been a pretty wild day. So pre-market, we had a big rally ahead of us, and then the CPI number came out, the market sold off, and now they're rallying up a little bit again. So we have the spiders today higher by about 0.8%, cash S&P about the same. And then you have the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 330 points. That's a gain of about 1%. That is the strongest of the major indexes, I believe. The Russell is up, but the NASDAQ is flat. So, in fact, slightly negative as we speak, but that's been all over the map. But for the most part, we've got a very oversold condition in these markets. I mean, this is as oversold as I can remember in recent times. So, we'll see if these markets can muster a bid here at some point. Nothing goes down in a straight line. And again, that's really the only bullish case that I could make out of these markets right now, is that things are so oversold.
Yeah, like everything has gotten hit, right?
Everything. It's been a kind of a market where nothing has been spared. Energy obviously has performed the best, but even that has taken a hit the last few days. Today, though, it is rebounding sharply.
Right. Energy. Yeah. Well, everything got thrown out, baby, with the bathwater. What's your take on Tesla? Speaking of Teslas.
So, Tesla right now is down about $11 today. It's trading at around $7.99. I've been telling my members Tesla still has a lot of support at $7.50. So in $7.50, I think that's where they defended. After that, it's $700. But I do think the $7.50 level gets defended for Tesla in the near term.
All right. I'll buy that. Well, certainly, it's funny, as the overall new car market declines really across the globe, maybe with the exception of China. the demand for Teslas continues to increase. So maybe they'll be somewhat immune from the total collapse of new car sales.
Well, they've surprised everybody on every turn. I'll be the first one to admit that they've surprised me as well. And again, I just thank the good Lord that I use charts, because otherwise I probably would have been one of the people out there like Chanos and the rest of these guys trying to short it. The charts kept me away from that, and the stock has been, a tremendous performer. Now it has come in quite a bit since its April peak, where it was trading, upward of around 1150. Now it's down here at 780, and I think there's a lot of support at 750 when it gets there.
All right, I'll buy that. Hey, we were sending $40 billion worth of stuff, aid, etc., to Ukraine. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest reasons why the markets cannot get any stabilization at the moment. This is turning into more of a Western war. So again, I know that the battles are going on in Ukraine. They're not going on in other parts of Europe or in the United States. But the more money you send over there, the less likely we are to get any kind of a peace treaty or resolution. And again, this is not a war that you want spilling over to the West. I just don't think that's very smart of anybody to do that. But it seems that could be what they're pushing for right now.
Hey, never underestimate the power of the U.S. government, its ability to screw things up, right?
Yeah, or, maybe that's what they want. I mean, I just can't understand it for the life of me, but the more the West gets involved, the worse it's going to get for these markets.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, it looks like things are not going great for Russia, and the blogosphere out in the former Soviet Union is starting to speak up, right?
Well, you're hearing this and that, but I like we said before, Kerry, I can't believe a thing. I just don't trust any of these sources that I hear from. In fact, I have friends that are Ukrainian that have family there, and they tell me quite the opposite. So, I would just tell everybody, take everything you hear from the media with a grain of salt right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. We always got to remember that truth is the first casualty of war. I always say truth is the first casualty of government, but you know what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I do.
So, gold catching a bid today, huh?
Yeah, gold is finally catching a bid. It was a bit oversold on the daily chart. It's had a good pullback. It looks like if you pull up a chart of the gold futures chart, you'll see we went down to the daily chart 200 MA. That also coincided with a weekly chart 50 moving average. And again, you should get a little bit of a bounce here, but I still am in the camp. We're going to see gold futures trade down to around that 1785, 1790 level. And I think that's your trade, not a long-term hold, but I think there's a trade there when it gets down to that level.
All right. Well, we will see what happens next here. That's for sure. Bitcoin, where are we at with Bitcoin today?
So Bitcoin's another one that's kind of been all over the map today. Overall, though, it has just caught a little bit of a bid, trading back to around 31,000 on the spot price. So Bitcoin has reversed a little bit, gone back up. But I will say this: it's been a very, very, very volatile trade lately. And if you remember when we talked about it on our last few shows, we talked about how Bitcoin would go down and test the 30,000 level. There should be a pit stop support area here, but the trend is down, and the next move lower looks like it's going to go to 27,000. So right now it's hanging on, trading a little bit above 30,000. That level was tested. I said just on the last few shows that would get tested and we get a little bounce, and we're doing that now. But ultimately, I do think it starts to head back down to 27,000. And just by the way, Coinbase, which is probably the largest Bitcoin broker, down 24% today. I mean, this stock was trading, I believe, at its peak above $400 a share. Now it's at $55 a share.
Interesting. So, but we can never underestimate the ability of Bitcoin to surprise us in its direction and flow, right?
Well, I got to say, it's very technical. The charts are very, very weak, and I would certainly be careful and go chart first with anything. So You may hear these people come out on TV talking about Bitcoin going 100,000. I even heard 1 million from several so-called market mavens. But here we are. The fact remains it's at 31,000 right now.
All right, 31,000 it is. It'll stay there. Make sure you go over to Nick's site, inthemoneystocks.com. See how he's beaten the market indices for decades. The Twitter feeds at ITMS, at Nick Santiago01, at Kerry Lutz. Emails are always welcome, KL@KerryLutz.com. Nick, we'll talk to you on Friday and see what happens then.
Sounds good, Kerry.